Recording costs, recording and transferring title, verification costs versus registration costs. Branding cattle, stamping a serial number on an automobile engine, stenciling a social security number on a TV. These are some ways that private persons try to prove their ownership of valuable goods. In addition to these private remedies, the state sometimes provides registries of ownership. Thus, trademarks are registered to avoid duplication or overlap. Brand inspectors employed by the state or private companies may police violations. Despite these devices, people sometimes buy goods that were not the sellers to sell. This section concerns verifying ownership and remedies when a good is sold without the owner's permission. Suppose you decide to fulfill a lifelong dream and buy a farm. You find a parcel in the country that you like and approach the farmer who is living there. After discussing the parcel's boundaries, fertility, and drainage, the farmer offers to sell the land at an attractive price. You shake hands to seal the agreement. The next week, you return with a check handed over to the farmer, and shortly thereafter, move on to the property. 2 weeks later, a man knocks at the cottage door, announces that he is the owner of the property, and explains that he has come to evict the nefarious tenant who rented the cottage in which you are living. At this point, you recall the joke that begins, "Hey buddy, how would you like to buy the Brooklyn Bridge?" When you buy property, you should ascertain the rightful owner and deal with him or her. A reliable and inexpensive method for determining ownership prevents fraudulent conveyances, such as tenants representing themselves as owners. There are various ways to create a record of ownership. Consider the story, presumably apocryphal, of a recording title in England in the Middle Ages when a few people could read. It is said that the seller handed the buyer a clod of turf and a twig from the property in a ceremony before witnesses known as livery of Seisin. Then the adults thrashed a child who had witnessed the passing of turf and twig severely enough so that the child would remember that day as long as he or she lived, thus creating a living record of the transfer.